Daniel first sensed something was wrong the moment his phone buzzed during dinner. It was a picture sent in the family group chat. One of those cheerful photos people take at rehearsals, bright lights, decorated chairs, smiles from every direction. But as he zoomed in, he noticed a sharp detail that cut through the noise of the house. Lily wasn't there. Everyone else from the bridal party stood in perfect rows, dressed in matching colors, looking like they belonged. Lily, who had been talking about this wedding for months, was nowhere in the picture. His stomach tightened. Lily had ironed her dress the night before, practiced her speech, and even stayed up late writing a card for Mia. She had done everything right. She was excited. She was ready. But this picture said something else. Something that made Daniel feel a slow anger build in his chest. He tried to play it calm. Maybe she had stepped out for water. Maybe she was behind the camera. Maybe there was a good explanation. But he had known Lily his whole life. She wouldn't miss a moment like this. He left his chair, ignoring the half-finished plate, and walked straight to the living room where his parents were watching TV. Without a word, he held up his phone. Why isn't Lily in this picture? His father glanced at the screen and shrugged. His mother barely looked up. They didn't show the shock or worry Daniel expected. Instead, his father let out a short laugh, the kind people use when they don't think something matters. "Oh, that," he said, waving his hand as if brushing away dust. "Mia said it was just a prank. Something about surprising her tomorrow." Daniel blinked. A prank? Leaving someone out of a once-in-a-lifetime moment was a prank. His mother added, "Yes, don't overthink it. They wanted to tease her a little. It's harmless." Harmless. The word hit Daniel like a slap. Lily was sensitive, but not weak. She cared about things deeply. Moments like this mattered to her. And they were calling us a joke. He wanted to ask more, but he had no idea what to say next. He stood there, wondering why his parents weren't concerned, why they weren't asking where Lily was, if she was upset, or if she needed comfort. It felt wrong, careless, even cold. He left the room and walked down the hall toward Lily's bedroom. Her door was closed, but the light slipped out from the gap near the floor. He knocked gently. "Lily." There was no answer. He waited, hoping she'd at least open the door, but all he heard was a soft sound, like someone trying to breathe quietly. His heart sank. Something in that silence told him everything. She had seen the same picture he saw, and unlike their parents, she understood what it meant. She thought she had been forgotten. "Lily," he tried again. "Are you okay?" Still nothing. He didn't push the door. She deserved space, but he stayed there a moment, thinking about how excited she'd been just that morning. How she had laid her dress out on the bed. How she had practiced her smile in the mirror dot. It didn't feel like a joke anymore. It felt like betrayal. Daniel spent the rest of the evening sitting in the dim hallway, scrolling through the messages in the group chat. People were laughing, sharing behind-the-scenes pictures, tagging Mia, tagging the bridesmaids. No one mentioned Lily. No one asked where she was, and no one seemed bothered. His anger grew with every message. Lily wasn't just any cousin, she had been one of Mia's closest friends growing up. They shared secrets, inside jokes, childhood memories. Lily had defended Mia in arguments, supported her through her breakup, and even helped Mia write her college essays. They had been inseparable. And now Mia had decided that excluding Lily from the rehearsal was funny. Daniel couldn't understand it. He couldn't understand why his parents found it amusing either. They were supposed to protect their children, not laugh when one was hurt. Hours passed before Lily finally left her room. Daniel heard her soft footsteps in the hallway. She walked to the kitchen quietly, like she wished she could disappear. Her eyes were red but dry, as if she had run out of tears. When she opened the fridge, Daniel saw her hands trembling slightly. He approached her slowly. "Lily," he said, keeping his voice gentle, "why didn't you go to the rehearsal? Did something happen?" She didn't look up. She grabbed a bottle of water and twisted the cap with shaky fingers. "I never got the message," she whispered. "They said they sent it, but I checked. There's nothing." Her voice cracked at the end. She took a breath, trying to hold herself steady. "I thought maybe they changed the plan and forgot to tell me. I didn't want to bother them. I waited by my phone all afternoon." Daniel felt something painful twist inside him. She had been waiting for a message that never came, because someone had decided she didn't need to be there. "Lily," he said, "it wasn't your fault." She nodded, but her expression told him she didn't believe that. She felt small, unwanted, and confused. She didn't understand why people she trusted had made her feel invisible. When she started walking back to her room, Daniel followed her with his eyes but didn't stop her. He knew she was exhausted. He knew she just wanted to hide and pretend none of it happened. But he couldn't pretend. He couldn't shake the feeling of injustice. He stood in the kitchen long after she left, staring at the quiet shadows on the wall. The more he thought about it, the more it burned. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't a simple misunderstanding. It wasn't a harmless prank dot, it was a choice. Someone had chosen to leave Lily out. Someone had chosen to let her feel unwanted. Someone had chosen to laugh when she realized it. And when the people you love most brush off your pain with a smile, something inside you shifts. That night, Daniel lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, imagining Lily crying behind her closed door. Her disappointment echoed in his mind. Every tear she shed felt like a new weight on his chest. He replayed the picture again and again. The smiles, the bright lights, the matching dresses, the empty place where Lily should have stood. He felt helpless, and then he felt angry. Really angry. A quiet decision began to take shape inside him, growing sharper with every minute. He didn't know what he would do yet, but he knew one thing for certain. Someone would be held accountable. And this time, no one would laugh it off. Daniel woke the next morning feeling heavier than he had the night before, as if the anger he carried had settled deep inside his chest. Lily was already gone for her early class. She had left quietly, without breakfast, without a word. Her silence was louder than any argument. He sat at the kitchen table, replaying everything again, his parents' laughter, Mia's name in every rehearsal message, Lily's trembling hands. He knew her well enough to understand she wasn't over it. She was trying to bury it fast, hoping her heart would heal if she stayed busy. But pain like that never disappeared easily. It stayed in the corners of your mind and showed up when you least expected it. At school, Daniel found it impossible to focus. He kept checking his phone, expecting to see a message from someone explaining the prank in more detail. But no one said a word. The family group chat was full of cheerful updates, wedding decorations, dresses, excitement, but there was no mention of Lily. Not one. Every new message made Daniel feel more sure that the exclusion wasn't a joke. It was intentional, and everyone seemed comfortable with that. By afternoon, Daniel couldn't sit still anymore. He drove to Lily's campus and waited near the courtyard, hoping to catch her between classes. When she finally walked out of the building, she looked exhausted. She was tightly holding her backpack strap, her shoulders tense, her eyes fixed on the ground. "Lily," Daniel called gently. She lifted her head, surprised. "You didn't have to come. I wanted to check on you." "I'm fine," she said, forcing a small smile that didn't come close to reaching her eyes. He fell into step beside her as she walked. "You didn't go to breakfast. Wasn't hungry. You left early." "I didn't want to talk about it," she said quietly. "It's over already." I don't want this to ruin their big day. Daniel stopped walking. It already ruined your day. She looked away, blinking fast. It doesn't matter that much. But he could see her jaw tense, the way her fingers dug into her backpack strap. Nothing about this was fine. She was trying to protect herself from feeling even more rejected. Lily, he said softly, you didn't deserve that. A single tear slipped down her cheek, and she quickly wiped it away. I just don't understand why they didn't want me there. I thought Mia liked having me around. I thought we were close. Her voice was small, one step away from breaking. I just wanted to be part of something. Daniel felt something inside him harden. He had never seen his sister like this, confused, hurt, and blaming herself for someone else's cruelty. He wanted to fix it for her, but he also knew this wasn't something a hug or comforting words could solve. This wound would stay unless someone truly understood how wrong it was. After walking her to class, Daniel went to his car and sat in silence for a long moment. That's when he decided he needed answers, real ones, not dismissive comments or jokes. He drove straight to Mia's house, still rehearsing what he would say. As he pulled into the driveway, Mia answered the door with her usual bright smile. Oh, Daniel. Hey. What's up? He didn't waste time. Why did you leave Lily out of the rehearsal? Mia blinked, surprised by the direct question. Then her expression softened into something casual. Oh. That. It wasn't serious. It hurt her. It was supposed to be funny, she said with a shrug. We thought it would lighten things up. She's very emotional, you know. She always takes things too seriously. Daniel stared at her. And that makes it okay to embarrass her. It wasn't embarrassing, Mia insisted. Everyone laughed. It was light-hearted. Everyone except her. Daniel snapped. Mia frowned, as if he was making a big deal out of nothing. Look, we planned the rehearsal a little last minute. We didn't think she'd mind missing it. The real event is the wedding, not the practice. She'd be fine. Daniel's voice dropped, steady and cold. Did you send her the message or not? Mia hesitated for a second too long. We thought someone else did. So no one did? Mia's silence said everything. Daniel took a deep breath, trying not to let the anger erupt. You should apologize. For what? For getting one message? She asked, her tone defensive. Everything is so stressful right now. I didn't do it on purpose. And your parents said it was fine. Daniel felt the sting of those words. His parents had made it easier for her to dismiss the harm she caused. They had laughed it off. And because of that, Mia believed she had done nothing wrong. He left without saying another word. On the drive home, his thoughts twisted in loops. Lily was hurting. Mia refused to take responsibility. And his parents were treating it all like a harmless joke. It felt like the people closest to him were blind to the damage they caused. Or maybe they saw it and chose not to care. At home, Daniel walked into the kitchen to find his parents talking about wedding plans again. They seemed excited, relaxed, happy. When he tried to bring up Lily, they cut him off. She's too sensitive, his mother said. It's not that serious. She'll forget about it in a day or two, his father added. Daniel clenched his jaw. How could they not see what this had done to her? She wasn't being dramatic. She had been excluded from something important. She had been left alone while everyone else enjoyed a moment she looked forward to. That night, Lily came home late. She avoided their parents, slipping straight into her room without meeting their eyes. Daniel followed her, but she gently pushed his door-blocking hand aside. I'm tired, Daniel. He nodded, stepping back. I know. I'm here if you need anything. She gave him a grateful look but closed the door quickly, as if afraid she would break again if she stayed in the hallway. Daniel stood there, feeling the hallway closing in on him. He couldn't help her pain disappear. but he could make sure it wasn't ignored. Over the next few days, Lily grew quieter. She skipped lunch with friends. She turned off her notifications. She avoided family discussions. She went through her routines like someone moving on autopilot. Daniel watched helplessly as she tried to shrink her emotions, as if smaller feelings would hurt less. And while she tried to heal quietly, Daniel felt something else growing inside him, something sharp, cold and steady, a desire for justice, not dramatic revenge, not something chaotic, just something to make people understand what Lily had felt, something to make them stop brushing aside her feelings as if they didn't matter. He didn't want to cause chaos at the wedding. He didn't want to embarrass anyone in public. But he wanted Mia and their parents to see Lily's pain, to recognize that their actions had consequences. He started imagining different ways to make them understand. Little plans formed in his mind, ideas that would make them pause, reflect, maybe feel the sting of regret. But he also felt a tug deep inside him, a quiet voice asking if revenge would actually fix anything, if hurting them back would heal Lily, or just fuel more conflict. Still, every time he saw Lily force a smile, every time he heard his parents laugh about wedding plans, his anger rose again. Revenge whispered louder, understanding tugged harder. He was stuck between the two, unsure which path would save his sister and which would only create more pain. And as days passed, the weight of this choice pressed down on him, making him restless, driven, and increasingly conflicted. Part 3 awaited him like a sharp corner he couldn't avoid. Daniel woke up the morning of Mia's engagement celebration with a strange mix of calm and tension. The kind of calm that comes right before a storm, not outside, but inside a person. He had spent days wrestling with the same thoughts. The image of Lily quietly crying in her room, Mia's casual shrug, his parents' laughter, the silence that followed when Lily tried to act strong. All of it pushed him toward a decision he wasn't sure he should make. Yet that morning his mind felt sharper, more focused. The plan he had fought for days suddenly felt simple. Not cruel, not destructive, just honest. Something that would show Mia and his parents what their actions had caused. Something that would finally give Lily a voice when no one had listened before. Lily left early for work, unaware of what Daniel was thinking. She wore a calm smile, but the tiredness in her eyes made Daniel grip the steering wheel harder as he drove. She wasn't over it. She had just learned how to hide the pain better. That realization alone pushed him closer to choosing revenge. The celebration was in a decorated hall across town. Golden lights hung from the ceiling, music played softly, and people gathered in groups, talking, laughing, taking pictures. Everyone seemed excited, stress-free, untouched by anything unpleasant. Daniel watched them from the entrance, feeling like he didn't belong in this cheerful space. He wasn't here to celebrate. He was here with a purpose. In his pocket was a flash drive, the one holding the video Lily had recorded the night she realized she'd been excluded from the rehearsal. She had filmed it only so she could express her feelings out loud, trying to understand why she wasn't included. Daniel had heard the recording by accident one night when she left her phone in the living room. Her soft voice, trembling words, and quiet confusion had stayed with him ever since. He believed that if Mia and their parents saw that video in front of everyone, even they couldn't deny how wrong they'd been. Maybe then they'd understand the hurt they caused. As the event started, Daniel made his way behind the stage area where the audio-visual equipment was set up. Technicians moved around adjusting wires and screens. Daniel approached one of them and asked, "Excuse me, is this where I can upload a video for the slideshow later?" The man pointed to a laptop on the table. "Yeah, you can load it here. Just make sure you name it properly so the system reads it." Daniel nodded, his pulse quickening. This was his chance. He reached into his pocket and held the flash drive tightly. For a moment, he imagined the room going quiet, faces turning toward the screen, shock spreading across the crowd. He imagined Mia realizing what she had done. He imagined his parents finally understanding Lily's pain. The thought was tempting. It felt like justice. But before he plugged the drive in, he closed his eyes, trying to steady his breathing. Something inside him began to shift. A memory surfaced a moment from years ago when Lily had been hurt during a school event, and Daniel had stood by her until she stopped crying. Back then, he didn't need revenge. He just wanted her to feel safe. Was he doing this for Lily? Or for himself? He pictured her face that morning, tired but trying to move on, trying to stay strong, trying not to let one cruel moment define her. If he showed that video now, she'd be dragged right back into that pain. She'd hear her own trembling voice in front of strangers. She would become a spectacle, not a person. And Mia would be embarrassed, maybe angry. Their parents would be defensive. The whole thing would turn into a public mess. Would that bring Lily peace? Daniel opened his eyes slowly. The celebration music drifted over the stage curtains. The laughter of guests swelled in the background, light and carefree. He realized that what he held in his hand was not justice. It was a wound waiting to be reopened. He let out a long breath and stepped away from the table. He walked out the side door of the hall, into the cool evening air. The sky was painted with soft colors as the sun dipped low on the horizon. For the first time in days, Daniel felt something quiet settle in his chest, not anger, not revenge, but clarity. He sat on a bench outside, holding the flash drive loosely now. The decision he had just made felt both painful and freeing. Revenge would have been easy. Letting it go was harder, but it felt right. He knew Mia still needed to learn from what she had done. His parents still needed to understand Lily's feelings. But forcing them to learn through humiliation wasn't the answer. That kind of lesson would come from an honest conversation, not a public display. Daniel stayed outside until the speeches ended. He didn't want to watch Mia smiling on stage, pretending everything was perfect. He wasn't ready for that. When the applause echoed from inside the hall, he stood up and walked back in. Guests were moving toward the buffet tables, laughing and chatting. No one noticed he had been gone. No one noticed the flash drive still in his pocket. It was almost comforting, how little attention people paid. It reminded him that revenge would have changed everything for him, for Lily, for the whole family, but none of them truly understood what he had been ready to do. He spotted Mia across the room. She was busy greeting a group of relatives, her smile bright and flawless. Daniel felt a flicker of the old anger, but it faded quickly. He walked near her, waiting for a moment when she was alone. When it came, he stepped forward. "Mia," he said calmly. She turned, surprised to see him. "Daniel. Hey. I didn't see you earlier." "I know. I wanted to talk." She smiled nervously. "About what?" "About Lily," he said. "About the rehearsal." Her smile faded. "I told you." "No," he interrupted gently. "This time listen." He didn't raise his voice. He didn't accuse her. He simply explained how Lily had felt waiting for a message, thinking she had done something wrong, crying alone in her room. He described the pain she carried quietly, the guilt she shouldn't have felt. He told Mia how easily all of it could have been avoided. Mia didn't speak at first. She looked down, her hands tightening around the strap of her purse. Her posture softened, and she finally whispered, "I didn't know it hurt her that much." "That's the point," Daniel said softly. "You didn't know, because no one told you. But now you do." Mia nodded slowly. "I'll talk to her. I really will." Daniel held her gaze for a moment, then stepped back. He didn't need anything more from her. On the way home, he felt lighter. The flash drive sat untouched in his pocket, but it no longer felt like a weapon. It felt like a reminder of choices, of consequences, of the line between justice and harm. When he entered the house, he found Lily sitting on the couch, watching a show quietly. She looked up, surprised. "You're home early." Daniel sat beside her. "Yeah, I wanted to talk to you." Lily paused the show. "Is everything okay?" He nodded. "Better than before." For the next hour, he told her everything, not about the flash drive, not about the temptation, but about how people had reacted when he talked to them. He explained that Mia understood now, and that their parents would, too. Lily listened, her eyes softening with each word. By the end, she leaned her head on Daniel's shoulder. "Thank you," she whispered. Daniel closed his eyes, feeling a quiet peace wash over him. Revenge would have created noise, anger, more hurt. This, instead, created understanding. In that moment, Daniel realized something simple but powerful. Revenge doesn't heal. It doesn't build back what was lost. Sometimes the strongest act isn't striking back. It's choosing a path that stops the pain instead of spreading it. And tonight, for the first time since the rehearsal photo appeared, the house felt warm again. Daniel finally felt like he had done the right thing.